Hi there, my name is Chris, and today I'm going to be showing you our media sharing module. This module acts as cloud storage, which allow everyone from athletes to account owners and admins easy and fast file sharing. I'm logged in as an account owner. The first thing you will want to do is manage who can access the module. If we enter Team Settings and go into General, you'll see Media Sharing here toward the bottom of the Modules section. By default, it's disabled for both staff and athletes, but it's only a few simple clicks to enable it for staff, athletes, or in this case both. Now that we've enabled it for both staff and athletes, let's look at the module itself. Accessing media sharing is really simple, and it can be done from two places. Either here in the Team Navigation toolbar, or here on the Teams page from the Team menu drop down here. As you can see, I only have two folders so far. You can enter a folder by simply clicking on it, or clicking this menu to the right and clicking Open Folder. This folder, Tips for Athletes, is accessible by all of the athletes on all of the teams this account manages. These athletes are not allowed to create folders or upload files in this folder, but they can view everything within it, like this PDF. To navigate away from a folder, you can see your path here. The black text where it says Tips for Athletes is the folder we're in, and Media is the link back to the main media sharing screen. We've also got another folder in this folder called Tips for First Tigers. This folder is accessible to everyone on the First Tigers team instead of all the users this account manages on the whole. If we go into this folder, you'll see that not only is there a link back to the main media sharing screen, there's also a link to the folder above this one. This way, you can go as many folders in as you want, and you'll always be able to navigate back to wherever is most convenient for you, like this, or like this. You may have also noticed this selector at the top of the screen. This allows you to select who you can view folders from. When you're in a folder, you'll see files from everyone, but as far as what actual folders themselves show, this is who you'll see them from. When viewed from the athlete side, this option is set to all, so you'll see all the folders you have access to, regardless of who they're created by. On the staff side, however, we provide this option to filter them out, because if you have a lot of athletes and staff members creating files and folders, it can get cluttered pretty quickly, so being able to only see one portion of that can be really helpful. Staff only is the default option, but we also have the option to view folders from athletes only or from everyone. As you can see, if I select athletes, the two folders that we're showing have disappeared because they were created by staff, and this folder that was created by an athlete has appeared. We can also click All, and now we can see all three folders. The final option we have up at the top is this selector that allows you to define how items are sorted on the page. The default option is alphabetical, but we also have reverse alphabetical, old to new, and new to old. I'm going to select reverse alphabetical, and now you can see the order has changed accordingly. When you select a new sort method or a new filter method other than the default options, those are automatically saved for as long as you're viewing the media sharing module. The next time you re-enter the module through either the link in the navbar up at the top or the link on the Teams page in each team menu as I showed you earlier, these will be reset back to the default. But for now, we can go into and out of folders, and you can see they're still set to where I had them a moment ago, instead of being back to their defaults. But just like I said, if we click Media, it goes back to the default. This way, if you leave the media sharing module and then go back into it, it's back to the default, and you can again customize it however you want after that. Let's get into creating, viewing, and editing files and folders. Here on our main screen, you'll see down at the bottom we have this green Add Folder button. You may have also noticed there are sometimes two yellow buttons, Add File and Add Link. The reason these aren't showing right now is that you can only add files and links within a folder. If we enter a folder, you'll see these options reappear. But we'll talk more about those soon. Back on the main screen, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to name it First Tigers after one of the teams I manage. I'm only going to share it with that team by clicking them in the Teams Access list. This list shows all of the teams this account manages, and you can select whatever combination of teams you like by clicking and dragging on the list, holding the Control key and selecting individual options, or holding the Shift key and clicking two options to select those two and everything in between them. This works just like any other select screen on the app, but like I said, in this case I only want First Tigers to be able to view this folder. The next step is to choose what types of user are allowed to view this folder. Owner and admin accounts can see any folder associated with a team they are also associated with, so they're not shown in the user type list here. To select the user types you do want to give access to, you simply click on the ones you want. Managing it this way, instead of by individual user, lets you create folders specifically for example, medical users. If you create a folder that's only for medical users, by selecting only medical in the list here, only they will be allowed to see it. If you add a new medical user to one of the teams you've associated with the folder, they will automatically be allowed to see it as well. Once you're happy with the options you have here, you just click Create Folder. To edit the folder, just click on this menu on the folder and click the Edit option. And you'll see the same menu come back up. You can make any changes you want and click Submit again. For now, I want to talk more about how user types work with folders. As I mentioned, you can explicitly set who can view a folder, like medical users, by checking them off in this list. Allowing a set of users to access a folder automatically gives them permission to edit the folder and the files within it. Allowing a set of users access to view a folder automatically allows them permission to edit it, as well as to add files and folders to it and edit any files within it. They will not, however, be able to delete the folder or any of the files within it that they did not create. There are two exceptions to how this works, however. The first is that athletes can be given view-only access. When you select them in this list, you'll see this additional option comes up for whether or not you want them to be allowed to upload files. If you select yes, athletes will be able to add files and folders to this folder, but they will still only be able to edit things they created, unlike other users who, when they're given access, can edit any file within the folder. If you select no, athletes will be able to view the files within this folder, and that's all. They won't be able to create new ones. Just like I mentioned before, this is different from other users who would be allowed automatically to upload new files and create new folders. The other exception to this is users who are above you in authority. As I mentioned, administrators and owners are left off of this list because they can see all files and folders created by any user. They can also edit or delete those files. This includes seeing, editing, and deleting folders and files created by other admins and owners. This list only shows user types that are at the same level as your account or below, although never shows admins or owners because, like I said, they will always have access. This is because, like I said, users who are above you can automatically see, edit, and delete your files and folders. Basically, if a user type isn't shown on this list, they will have full access to your files. If they are shown, it's entirely up to you. This may be hard to wrap your head around, so I'll demonstrate it now. I'm going to log out and back in as a doctor. And because I haven't saved this, medical users are still the only ones allowed to view this folder. Now if we add a new folder, you'll see only coaches, medical users, and athletes are optional. This is because coaches and medical users are on the same level of authority as this account, and athletes are below it, so they are all optional for whether we want to give them access. Admins, owners, and managers, however, are left off of this list because they're above medical users in this hierarchy and will have full access to any content medical users create and associate with one of their teams. I'm going to create a folder here, and I'm not going to explicitly give anyone permission to access it. In a moment, we'll take another look at that folder from the owner's side, but for now, let's edit the folder that was created by the owner account I was viewing earlier, the First Tigers folder. You'll see that because this file belongs to an owner, the edit options are the same ones an owner has instead of the ones a medical user would normally see. So manager is present. This is because when you're editing someone else's folder, you're essentially editing it as if you are them. We also have more teams because the owner account that created this folder had more teams associated with them than the doctor account that's editing it. Let's log out and back in as our owner account to take a look at the folder we just created as a medical user. Now if we edit this folder, which again was created by a medical user, you can see we have the manager option, but it's grayed out. This is because an owner account would usually have the manager option, but because this folder was created by a medical user, it's grayed out, and only the options that medical user has are actually options that can be changed. Like I said, we're editing it as if we were that medical user, so manager is not optional. And also, we only see the teams associated with the medical user instead of the ones associated with this owner account. One more thing I want to mention about folders is that if you're given access to a folder, but not access to the folder that folder is within, then it will simply appear on your main media sharing screen. I want to show you how this works. The Tips for Athletes folder is currently only viewable by athletes. But I'm going to go into that folder and create a new folder for medical users. On my owner account, because I have access to both the Tips for Athletes folder and the Tips for Athletes medical folder, the medical folder shows inside the Tips for Athletes folder just like the way I created them. But if I log out and back in as a medical user, the medical folder shows up on my main screen. This is because I didn't give medical users permission to view the parent folder, Tips for Athletes. So you can still see the medical folder because you were given access to it. It's just going to show on your main screen and you won't even know that it's within another folder. In fact, if we click on it, we can see the path back just goes straight to our media repository. So this medical user would have no idea that there's another folder above this one, because that's a folder they don't have access to. Now I'm going to switch back to my owner account again. Deleting a file or folder is only allowed by either the user who created it or someone above them in authority. To delete a folder, simply click on the Folders menu here towards the right and click Delete. This pop-up will ask you to confirm, click the check mark, and the folder will be deleted. As you can see, it's gone. If the delete option does not appear in the menu, which isn't the case for any of these because this is an owner account and they have full authority over any of them, then it means you don't have authority to delete that folder. For example, that medical user viewing the Tips for Athletes medical folder would not have a delete option because they didn't create it and they're below the user who did. I also want to note that you can only delete empty folders. If you try to delete a folder with files in it, you just get this error. If you really want to delete that folder, you'll have to go into it and delete everything inside first. Now that we've talked about folders, let's talk about files and links. I'm going to add back my First Tigers folder and give access to everyone on this account, including athletes, giving the ability to upload. And now let's go into this folder. Having folders separated by team and then creating folders inside of those can be a great way to manage different sections of your team staff. You could have a folder for medical users, another for athletes, etc. In my First Tigers folder, I'm going to create a folder that everyone can add and upload files, only accessible by First Tigers, and I'm going to call it Team Photos. You can create as many folders as you want. So to keep things organized, I'm going to create 2 more folders so that I can separate my photos by events. Now that my folders are created, there are 2 ways to add files to them. If you're inside the folder above them, like we are now, you can click on a folder's menu and click the Add File button. This Add File menu lets you create a title and comments, which are optional and will only be shown to users when they preview or edit the file. Once you've got any title and comments you want and you're ready, just click Select File, choose the file you want to upload, and click Submit. You'll be taken inside the folder with the new file highlighted. You can also upload files from within the folder by simply clicking the Add File button. I'm going to add some more files and skip ahead. Alright, as you can see, I've uploaded a total of 5 photos into this folder. Along the left, you'll see thumbnails for these files. These are actually previews of the image themselves, which can allow you to very quickly find the image you're looking for. These thumbnails are scaled down versions of the image, which are loaded after the page loads to keep everything quick and conserve bandwidth. To view the file, you can go to the Files menu and click View, or you can just double-click it. Here we see our image, along with the title and comments that I left. You can also see who shared the file and when they shared it. There are also 3 options up at the top, or less if you don't have edit or delete permissions. The 3 options are the same ones that are in the Files menu here, and they are Download, Edit, and Delete. Downloading a file will save it to your device so that you can view it and keep it offline. Editing allows you to edit the title and comments you set when you shared it. Just make any changes you want and click Submit. And Delete, of course, lets you delete with a pop-up just like for folders. You just click the check mark and now it's deleted. Another really useful feature with files is that you can select and download multiple files at one time. This works very similarly to the Team Select from creating and editing folders. If you click on a file, it will be selected. Once it's selected, you can click it again to preview it like we did before, or click the blue Download Files button at the bottom of the page. You can do this with 1 or more files. There are several ways to select multiple files. If you press the Control key and the A key on the keyboard at the same time, all the files will be selected. To deselect all files, click on the blank area. To select multiple files with precision, hold the Control key and click any file that you want. You can also deselect each file by clicking on it again while still holding the Control key. To select many files in a row, hold the Shift key and click the first file you want and the last file you want. This will select those 2 files and all of the ones in between. If it turns out you don't want all of these files, just hold the Control key and click the ones you don't want to deselect them again. Once you've got all the files that you want selected, click Download Files. You'll receive a zip file that can be opened by any computer with all of your files inside. Links work very similar to files. If we go up a folder, you can add them to a folder from above it by clicking the Folders menu and clicking Add Link. In this case, I'm just going to link to the FitStats YouTube page, where we have all of our tutorials, including this one. If you'd like, you can also include a title that will show instead of the link text. For example, here I'm going to set one. Once we've got our title and our link, or just a link, click Submit, and you'll see we've got our link here. This displays our title instead of the link text. We can also add links and not bother with a title, and it will just show the link text itself instead of any preset title. To view the link, you can either click the View button in the Links menu, or just click the link, and it will open up in another tab. Really, the only thing left to show of the media sharing module is how to access it from the athlete side of the web app. I'm going to log out and back in as an athlete. As you can see, when the media sharing module has been enabled for athletes, it will show up at the top here as one of the tabs available. Once you're there, it works just like it does on the staff side, but without the option to filter who you see folders from. Instead, you just always see them from both staff and athletes. And that's our media sharing module. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact us at support@athletemonitoring.com, where, as always, we'll be happy to help.